Hi there. Welcome to From the Heart, Take 3. So this is a series that I am doing talking about the many experiences I have had through pain and trauma. And I just want to say that this one is going to be pretty dark. And so this is a warning. If you are going through anything incredibly traumatic, this might be triggering for you. I'm going to talk about the dissociative episodes that I experienced at different times throughout my life due to the sexual trauma and physical abuse that I've experienced at different times. I say when I was ready to unearth the pit of my trauma, when my latest spiritual awakening occurred in 2019, I was ready to talk about being sexually abused as a child at 5 and 6. You know, that is something that I never spoke about. I completely stuffed and hid and repressed until I couldn't anymore, until it was time to heal that wound. And so that was incredibly scary. And I think I've carried the feeling of unworthiness for love, being targeted for something like that. I felt like it was my fault for a really, 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 really long time. And you know, your body, our bodies are so magnificent, and we are our own medicine. But your brain will shut down. So a dissociative episode is when you are acting outside of your body. And for me, it was like being in a movie. Everything would completely shut down. I would look as though I was present. I could hear what was going on, smell, be a part of it in that way, but I could not talk. I was completely frozen in the being of Maria. And it was so, so painful. And that has happened multiple times throughout my life, some requiring hospitalization, where I was so afraid of myself that I wanted to be in the hospital, to be, so somebody could look after me, because I really felt like I could not look after myself. I was going to hurt myself if I wasn't watched. Which, you know, really created a lot of scenarios where I was just giving my power away. But I just didn't know where I was. I was so lost. And I was so scared. And I remember there was a time, you know, after, you know, I've been in the hospital 13 different times between my suicide attempt in 2011 and throughout 2012 until I decided to enter a recovery program in 2013. I was in and out of the hospital every other month. Oh, not every month. And I learned a lot about myself. I went through DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, relearning how to behave, how to be present in emotions that were so intense and so overwhelming that I would pop out, you know, of my body and disassociate from actual reality of what was going on, not being able to participate. But at one of these times, I had walked into a Subway sandwich shop with a friend of mine, and my level of functioning was so low at that time. I could not order a sandwich. Like, I literally couldn't order a sandwich. And those are the depths that I have been in. Which is also why I drank alcohol the way I did, and why I took drugs in the way that I did. And there was some heavy drug use from 2015 to 2019 that I've not spoken about publicly. And I'm going to use this opportunity to do so. I was a crack addict. And that is a hell that does not compare to anything else. And for me, it would just bring me so low. It was not the high that people think of, the like rummaging and the craziness. It would actually do the opposite for me. Because I have had a chemical imbalance for so long, which I believe, through the holistic healing that I do now, through energetic healing of pinpointing different parts in my body that was holding on to energy charges of being so scared, of rage, of dissociation, of, all of these things. It just led to a lack of functioning. And really, all of this is really just a symptom of hating myself, of not accepting myself. And I remember in DBT, because I took the course 3 separate times, and I refer to it as emotional college. And one of the principles is radical acceptance. And I remember thinking, oh my God, radical acceptance. And it is being okay with not being okay. And that was like, the more that came on, the more I was able to lean into and not resist that, because what we resist persists. And when we can kind of take off the backpack, take off the weight, not carry it, allow ourselves to be not okay, and be okay with that. Be okay with not being okay. And that led to self-forgiveness. And that led to self-love. That led to me learning how to hear the inner voice inside of me that I had ignored for so long. And that is what I help people to do today. I help people walk beside people as they are facing their shadows, because the pieces of us that we deny, that we deem as unworthy and unlovable and not okay, and maybe that we even hate, those are the parts of us that need the most attention, that require forgiveness and love. And when we can make the darkness conscious, that is enlightenment. That is awakening. And that is what this process is. And it is so beautiful to truly be the guide for others, to be okay with being who they are. And I know that intimately because I have spent most of my life afraid of who I am and not okay with who I am and wanting to hide who I am and being incredibly hard on myself, being my own worst enemy, until I learned how to be my own best friend. And so a session with me long distance is in the comfort of your own home. And we have a conversation. We will start with a grounding meditation, some of my poetry that I have channeled. And we start with an intention. What are you willing to work on? What are you willing to look at? And then I dive into the chakra system. And perhaps your soul has some past life regressions that need to be recognized. Perhaps there's been some trauma in this lifetime. And I use my voice and I use light language, which is a very clearing energy. And light language is the language your soul has spoken in all lifetimes, like mashed together. And it is not meant to be understood. It is just felt. It's just a vibration. And it is really deep and really profound. And then at the end of the session, I will pull some tarot cards and we will draw in all of the highlights, creating a picture of what the message from Spirit is conveying to you. And then I will share some aftercare tips and tools for you to do the work. We are all here to heal ourselves. And the point of this series is for me to talk about the things that I have experienced and moved through and healed from. And it's so, so beautiful. Giving myself the gift of me. That is what healing is. Becoming more and more okay with your authenticity and shining that into the world. And so on this channel, you will see the poetry that I channel and the light language, and you'll see me dancing because I love to dance. Dance is one of my favorite soul expressions because I let myself be free. And so I would love to help you if you're feeling stuck, if you're depressed, if you're anxious, if you are curious about your own spiritual insights and, picking up on vibrations and spirits, and you're curious, I am here to help you do all of that. So if this resonates with you, click the link below. That's in the description. And I'm more than willing to have a free phone consultation to discuss what's going on for you and what we can do in a session together. From my heart to yours. Namaste.